professor will give you battle ready to take your competition down. I hear the bell. Let's get to class.
Welcome to Fantasy University. Alongside this man, the professor, I'm that man, NOSTER. And today we are going to be talking about everybody's favorite fantasy position. Not really. Tight ends. From the AFC. And when you talk about AFC tight ends, there's one place you have to start, and that's with Peyton Manning's favorite tight end target, Dallas Clark.
That's true, that's true.
What do you got to say? Is there...
I don't think there's, I mean, what can you can't go wrong with the Dallas Clark. Antonio Gates used to hold the reins, but he's getting up a little bit up in years. He's still a good tight end to have. Todd Heap, I think next year would be also a good choice due to the fact I think with more weapons for Flacco, he'll be open more, and there'll be less, I wouldn't say double teams, but DBs maybe on the tight end, whereas a linebacker, and most of the time they can split a linebacker.
I think Todd Heap can make the leap this year.
Somewhat of a sleeper on my part. I'm sort of taking away your sleeper thing here, but he's not really a sleeper, but you might have forgot about him. Owen Daniels, the guy was off to a monster start. He was really looking good, and then he had the injury. He was out for the rest of the year. Some people might forget about him. Don't you forget about him. Don't forget about him. He's a guy, and he's got a great quarterback and swap. So yeah, I like him.
Especially at a very thin position, you want to keep all the good names you can in mind. Owen Daniels, when he's out on the field, he puts up numbers, and as we've said before, that's what the game is all about. And Owen Daniels gets the catches. He's the emergency outlet guy. Matt Schwab knows how to find his tight end, and Owen Daniels knows how to get open. And speaking of guys who were injured last year that you might be overlooking, that you shouldn't overlook, is I believe one of the professor's favorite guys, especially in the sleeper range, Jermaine Grisham of the Cincinnati Bengals. You like that guy?
Yeah, he was injured last year when he played for the University of Oklahoma a little bit, and that's why he sort of dropped down a little bit. Even though he was a first-round pick, he could have been, in the top 10 if it wasn't for the injuries. If he's healthy, and he performs like I think he will perform, Carson Palmer is going to have a really fun year, and this guy's going to have a really good year. The first half of the year, but with the Cincinnati Bengals, one thing you have to be aware of, they're real tight with the purse string. So let's hope this guy gets signed and in camp and start learning, because that's with any of these rookies. That's first and foremost. Get them signed, get them in camp. You're going to pay them what you're going to pay them anyhow. So let's get it over with. Pay the guy. Let's get it on.
And plus, we know that the Cincinnati Bengals were really targeting this guy well before the draft, because there was a tight end in Denver named Tony Scheffler who was on the trading block, and the Bengals, up until the last day he got traded, was very much in the trading talks for him. There was a reason they backed out. It's because they started looking at this guy being able to fall to him in the draft, which he did, and they were ecstatic to get this man. So they got some big plans for him. They want to get him on the field. They want to get the ball in his hands. They want to show you why they didn't make a trade for Tony Scheffler and put this guy on the field.
And this man has really good speed for a tight end. So, in fact, some of the scouts were saying he has wide receiver speed. So, with that in the tight end's body, you're looking at maybe an Antonio Gates, who knows? And definitely in a keeper league, you definitely want to keep this guy on your radar.
Yeah, he's definitely a good keeper pick.
One thing about I want to reiterate, when we're talking about these picks and saying, hey, this guy is the best, we're not saying use your number one or your first round pick, wherever you're picking, or second round on these guys. We're talking about when it's time for you to take a tight end,
Right.
look for these guys. And I want to make sure people understand
Right.
that.
Well, they'll be sure when they want that information, they can check out our podcast when we start talking about, when we talk about the round by round, what you need to look at and when you need to start targeting positions.
And that'll be closer to when the drafts are going to start going on.
I'll edit this out, but we're going to do that one next.
Oh, are we?
I just came up with that. But there's another guy out there also who I had on all my teams last year who had great games.
How
and
those
then
teams
disappeared.
do? How those teams do?
At any rate, the guy's name is Dustin Keller. We don't need to talk. We're here to talk about players, not my fantasy football teams.
Oh, my bad.
No, that was my bad.
But Dustin Keller is a good player.
Yeah. If I remember right, you were the one who put me onto him last year.
Yeah, I think I did.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
No, I wasn't too disappointed with Keller. He did have some good games. He got off to a fast start. He kind of disappeared here and there, but he showed that he can be a good fantasy tight end. And now Mark Sanchez has 1 year under his belt, and they have 1 year together. I see nowhere for this guy to go but up.
Yeah, that's the key, Sanchez. He was a rookie quarterback. They weren't really letting him go out there and sling it that much. And the Jets like to run, and they like to say, hey, we're going to keep the ball. We're going to play ball control. We're going to let our defense win. Well, I don't know about this year, but in the future years, the Jets are going to be more offensive. This guy's going to be deep into the offensive game plan. And yeah, I really like Keller to do big things.
And the professor knows all about being offensive.
That's right.
And one more quick name we want to mention before we head out here. A guy who can have some good games and then fade off the map because he's getting a little older these days, but man, when he has a good game, it's a 2-touchdown game most of the time. That's Heath Miller of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, that's right. And hopefully his quarterback can stay in there and play and stay out of bad situations. But yeah, Heath Miller at times can really help you when you need it.
I only recommend him if you're in a league that has to draft a tight end. If you're in one of those leagues where it can be a wide receiver or a tight end, I would really think about putting him real low on the list if he's on the list at all. But if you have to have a tight end, he is one of the top 15 out there, then he's a good guy to have around in that situation.
And it also depends on the size of your league. If you're in a 6 or 18 league, you probably won't have to worry about him. If you need somebody, he'll probably be on the waiver wire to pick up. But if you're in a large league, like 16 teams, you better look at him.
Right. And any questions, as always, can be emailed to fantasyuniversity00@yahoo.com. You can address them to NOSTER or the professor, or ask us to go find somebody who knows what you're talking about. We're good either way with it. Thanks for joining us.
You have a good day and a better tomorrow.